Well, thank you, Professor Irfan Habib, students, colleagues, and friends. As you know, this event has been organized to felicitate and honor Professor Irfan Habib by his students. As he sits here on the dais and looks at the audience and his students in the audience, he sees me. He notices Nadeem Saab, he sees Ruquia Hussain, and he realizes what a mess this has all been. He's not sure if this event has been arranged to felicitate him or to remind him of his failing as a teacher. But I think it needs to be emphasized that he is one of those very rare teachers who invested a lot on his students. His lectures were certainly mesmerizing, and we all learned a lot from his lectures, but his investment on his students went beyond the classrooms. I know many of his students who learned Persian from him. There is scarcely any research scholar in the Department of History who has not benefited from his expertise in Persian language, particularly in reading Shikasta. We have all come to him when we had difficulty reading Shikasta text, and he has always been generous to all of his students. I also know for sure that many of the trashy writings by the students ended up becoming standardized articles through his efforts. So there's been a huge investment on students that marks him out as an exceptional scholar that he is. I thought I am here because I thought this would be the time to say thank you to him. Because this is a thank you that has come very late in the day, delayed by several decades. But we often take our teachers for granted, and I see I was one of them too. And then, as it is, let's also admit that students tend to be very ungrateful to teachers. They learn so much from them, and then they end up debunking him. But as a teacher, his contribution has been phenomenal. When we look at his academic achievements, I think his formidable scholarship centers around three concepts or three categories. One is his very firm allegiance to Marxism. The other is his very firm commitment to nationalism. And third is, as Nadeem Saab pointed out, his allegiance to secularism. These three elements mark him out as the formidable scholar that he is. I found it very interesting that in the post-independence period, Indian history was dominated by Marxist historiography. And there was this trinity of scholars, Romila Thapar in ancient history, Irfan Habib in medieval history, and Bipin Chandra in modern history, who seem to have captured the academic canvas for a very long time. But at the same time, I think it needs to be emphasized that Irfan Habib's engagement with Marxism was very creative, was very historicist, so that even as he has a lot of admiration for Marxism, he is also very attentive to the Indian specificity, so that there is a very creative engagement with Marxist thought that marks his scholarship. And at crucial points, he has very substantive disagreement with Marx as well. He, for example, does not subscribe to the Asiatic mode of production model. He does not believe in the concept of Oriental despotism. I kind of felt, and this is very rarely been commented upon, is that there is a back and forth movement in his engagement with Marxism. There's a to and fro movement, so that he takes 2 steps forward and 1 step backward in the way he engages with Marxism. He, for example, rejects Oriental despotism, but retains his faith in the centralized character of the state and in assigning the state an exclusive agency of historical change. He rejects the concept of village community as egalitarian and democratic, but he also looks at the state as an extremely extractive force in history. He has faith in classes, but he rejects class struggle with reference to Mughal India. So that I think there is a very constructive, very creative engagement with Marxism that Marxist scholarship. And for that reason, I think it's important to recognize that he's a very creative thinker. And like any creative thinker, it's very difficult to label him. And he evades all labels. He cannot be entrapped in any label, including the label of Marxist historian. I don't know how much time do I have. I thought the second very important element in his historiography has been nationalism. I also feel that the kind of critical engagement that he brings to bear in his understanding of Marxism is somehow missing when he looks at nationalism. There is a very generous acceptance of nationalism, and he is very aggressively hostile to those who draw attention to the silences in nationalism, to perhaps the contradictions in nationalism. One such historian that he has certainly found difficult to reconcile with is Chris Bailey, whose argument about economic growth in the 18th century as also the transition to colonialism through collaboration and continuities is something that quite irks him as a very nationalist, very strongly nationalist historian. The disturbing element for him then is that while he very aggressively takes issue with Bailey, it was one of his own students, one of the students he trusts the most, who pointed out that it is probable that 18th century may have seen economic growth, quietly questioning the basis of an agrarian crisis in 18th century India. And I think those are some of the issues that he needed to wrestle with. But I think it's a very strong commitment to nationalism that defines his ideology, and it is because of his nationalist commitment that he refuses to engage with the Cambridge School of Historiography, as also for the very strong criticism that he has had on the subaltern school, as also the post-structuralist scholars like Edward Said. Obviously, as he pointed out, Nadeem pointed out, secularism is something that also defines his historiography. And I think he, at a time when most historians are caving in and compromising with the ideals of secularism, he has boldly stood out as one of the most important defenders of secularism, and we all need to thank him for that, because in this climate marked by repression, marked by religious intolerance, marked by the absence of rational and scientific temperament in historiography. He has been the sole and perhaps the solitary thinker who has stood by the ideals of secularism. That's all from me. Thank you very much.